Okay, hey everyone, Thomas Fireheart here again, and Guardians of the Galaxy time. Now, this is, as the description says, the second time that I have seen this movie. Pretty much as I said in my last video, I saw it and then held off actually doing uh, the hangout for it about it and a video about it generally. To the point that it got to the weekend and I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to have to see it again just to get it refreshed in my mind. So I went and saw it again yesterday. It's midnight essentially where I am, so um just a second. Really should have done this before I started, but and there we go. So, brief plot synopsis. A guy named Peter Quill, played by Chris Pratt, is abducted from Earth in the 80s? Yeah, in 88, following his mother's death by, I forget if they mention the specific kind of cancer, but generally she had some sort of cancer, from what it seemed. Blah, blah, blah. Does a bit of an Indiana Jones thing to get this orb, tries to sell it, and essentially screw over his own partners in that. Uh, One thing leads to another. The buyer doesn't want to keep it when he knows that Ronan, the main villain of the movie, is looking for that artifact. Um, we run into Rocket Raccoon and Groot and Gamora. They all basically get into a big fight, which gets them arrested, sent to a prison. They meet Drax. They escape. They try to take it to this orb to the Collector. His um, employee at the time basically kills herself because she tries to utilize the power of it, and that doesn't work out too well. Being the idiot that he is, Drax summons Ronan to where they are because he wants to kill him. Gamora almost dies in the ensuing fight. They convince. God, sorry, kind of blanking on names here. God, they don't even have him listed. Let's see. Yondu, sorry, essentially gets captured by Yondu, and they broker a deal where they'll give him the. Well, yeah, it turns out this orb has been containing a. Is it Infinity Stone? That's it. Woo! Got the first guess. And this whole time Ronan's working for Thanos, so there's that. Um, Essentially, after that battle, Ronan gets possession of the orb and therefore the Infinity Stone, uses it, and it actually works for him. Tries to destroy the Nova Corps' homeworld of Xandar. He does some pretty good destruction of it, including some dive bombing. Specifically, the Nova Corps just end up helping them out anyway. They crash the ship. It looks like Groot dies. They break a bit of the dramatic tension by having Quill dance, or Star-Lord if you want to call him that, as a distraction for Ronan so they can blow the fuck out of him. Or at least to blow up his mallet? Hammer? I don't really know what you'd necessarily call it, but, so the Infinity Stone's kind of just out in the open, so Quill gets it. All of the remaining Guardians, which is basically what he called them, which I find that interesting, is the villain gave them their name. Somehow they're all able to contain the power between them without dying. And they basically use the power to kill Ronan and then give it to Fake, giving it to Yondu, who almost died. Well, gets shot down during the big fight above the planet, but survives. Ends up giving him a troll doll instead, but he obviously only realizes well after. And they hand the Infinity Stone over to the Nova Corps, who basically just hide it away. They basically wipe the slate clean for all, I guess, technically 4 of them, because Groot hasn't come back yet. And basically rebuild / make a new starship for, well, would you really call it would it necessarily be a starship? Ship, anyway, for Quill. And yeah, they sort of ride off into the, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be sunset, but they go off to do stuff together as Groot starts to grow back, basically. This movie was fucking amazing. The first time I went to see it, I had seen people going, "Oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever! Oh, the best Marvel movie so far!" And I was like, "I'll believe it when I see it." Okay, it wasn't so much I guess that's just it. I had no expectations for this movie because I'd never heard of this superhero team before. Which, if you can, are they really a superhero team? Seems more like a vigilante team, but I mean, seriously, you could honestly get away with calling them Avengers of the Galaxy, and it would work. Which, by the way, if they are actually in Avengers 3, that's what that needs to be called. Avengers of the Galaxy. That would be actually a pretty cool name for a crossover between those two. I honestly liked every character. I don't think there was a character that I hated. Ronan worked. Drax worked, which Drax was a huge surprise because considering the quality of acting that Batista portrayed in his WWE runs, but it was amazing that he actually pulled off a good performance. I mean, granted, could he have been better? Yes, but that's kind of pushing it, really. That's just nitpicking, because Oh, well, I'll put it this way. Was he the weakest of the main actors? Uh, Not counting Vin Diesel as Groot because, well, does that really count? I mean, I love that character. Holy crap. But he's basically yelling and I am Groot slash we are Groot. So, you know, in a way, it really doesn't count. Out of the main actors that got, the main characters that got recurring speaking roles, yeah, I'd say he was the weakest. But again, that's not really necessarily a knock on him so much as, well, okay, like, it might be, but I don't mean that necessarily in like a extremely terrible way. He was not terrible in this movie. He was not bad in this movie. This is the best acting I've ever seen Batista do, and apparently he had acting lessons between when he started on this, well, generally between when he got the role and when he actually started doing filming, which, if that's true, then that's amazing. Because I have seen Batista in at least one other movie, and he was fucking terrible in it, and they gave him a lot of dialogue. So I was like, oh, thank God this isn't another Man with the Iron Fists. Because that movie is horrible, and I will never be convinced otherwise. Like, in my opinion, that movie's terrible. This movie is fucking amazing. And, would I say that it is the best of the Marvel movies so far? That's debatable. I would have to see them all again to really actually figure out an answer to that. Was it the most fun? I would say yes. Because, damn it, if anything, if nothing else, this movie, in one word, fun. Like, the first time I watched it, and even the second time, I had a smile on my face for the majority of the movie. Because this really was just a really fun, colorful, vibrant world. Like, there's a civilization living in the friggin' head of this decapitated elder god sort of thing, or whatever the hell it was. I forget. Like some ancient being or something, and it's like, fuck, that's cool. As far as favorite moments go, I'm not really entirely. Well, really, I'll just go for the moments that almost made me cry, which were pretty much anything involving Groot right near the end. Because that first time when he does the "We are Groot" line, I almost cried. I'm not gonna lie, I almost fucking cried. I'm getting sort of welled up just thinking about it now. Like, that is some oddly, like, he's such a simple character, but, and I don't mean, simple as in that. But, he's such a fun character, despite being, like, limited to essentially two phrases and yelling. So in a way, yeah, like the Rocket Groot dynamic is kind of similar to the Han Solo Chewbacca thing, but let's face it, it's been proven that yes, him just sort of making that noise is somehow a language. So that's Star Wars for you. And if anything, I even just like to think that Rocket just sort of interprets what he's actually saying going by the tone of his voice. So, which is funny though, because that would have been an easy couple of days for Vin Diesel recording just various pitches and stuff and deliveries of "I am Groot" and that one "We are Groot." So, um, I don't think I'd honestly ever seen Chris Pratt in anything. I've not watched I have not watched The Community, if that was the show that he was in or is in. I don't know. I've never watched the show. It's not like it's that's a discussion for another time. I just never watched it. It's not that I necessarily have anything against it. I just never watched it. Gamora, like I saw people freaking out on Tumblr that there was no there's apparently or wasn't apparently any Gamora merch or just generally not her with the whole group or something like that. And I didn't really have an opinion on that before the movie, but if that's still the case now, then that's kind of fucking annoying because she's a badass character. So, um, and I really like the way, I don't think it'll ever get old. How both Gamora at least once and uh, Drax pretty much like the entire movie just won't be able to get metaphors or like they take it's just the fact that they take at least Gamora takes one thing literally and Drax takes pretty much everything literally. So which really does lead for some lines that you'd think would be corny but somehow they just work. Like uh, Rocket is like when Rocket initially explains it, he says so metaphors will go over his head, and Drax is like nothing goes over my head. I am too fast. I will just catch it. Or something like that. It's such a dumb line, but somehow it works. I really don't know how, but yeah, it actually manages to work. Um, yeah, honestly, the funny thing is I got feels even the second time, and in a way, kind of worse because when it came up to the Groot stuff at the end, I was like, "Oh, not this again! Christ, why? I have to sit through this again?" Like, not in a bad way, but like, oh god, I almost cried the first time. How the hell am I going to react now? Usually, like, I will react, but it won't be as bad as the first time because I know it's coming. But just something about this damn character actually made me care both times. And I saw it like last Tuesday, like not this Tuesday just gone Australian time. Uh, Last week Tuesday is when I last saw it, and that's not really all that long since I last saw it. Usually I leave a bit of a longer gap, but that shit got me. Like, and I think when it hit me, even like there was even thinking there was even one thing that hit me that didn't hit me the first time. Um, which oh god, I'm trying to remember what it is. I might just come back to it if I remember it later, but um, just the fact that well, it might have even just been the fact that God, just Rocket's reaction, like it's like, yay, the day say Ronan's dead, and Groot's still, for the moment, gone. And, normally, and really, that's the funny thing. It is a bit bittersweet in that moment. Like they end on an uplifting moment, but there is a bit of a moment there where he's just like, where they're all kind of like, God damn, this was depressing. um, and then like and the fact that they like, yeah, these are characters that at the start of the movie really don't give a shit about much, if anything. And then, well, actually, no. You know what? I think I know what it was that hit me that didn't the first time. It was uh, Peter Quill, Star-Lord, whatever you want to call him, reading the letter from his mum right at the end of the movie. And the fact that she called him my little Star-Lord, and it sunk in, oh my god, he took his name, his sort of, I wouldn't really call it like a secret identity, code name, whatever you want to go with, his outlaw name, whatever, as a nickname that his mum had for him. Like, like that just sort of hit me out of nowhere, and it's like, holy shit! Like that is something that repeated viewings can help with. Like you wouldn't normally, like I didn't think I was really thinking that hard the first time when I was watching it about that. So this time when I was trying to pay attention to details I didn't the first time, that was something that came up, and it was like, holy shit! Like, even though this guy, they basically paint him as a bit of a Han Solo figure, just the fact that he was that attached to his mum, that one, he kept the tape, and it was extremely important to him, to the point that as they're trying to break out, he has to go back in to get the friggin' mixtape and his headphones and generally the tape player. Just, it's stuff like that that really fleshes characters out, and doesn't just make them the one note. Like if he'd just basically been Han Solo 2.0, or I guess probably like 5.0 by now. But yeah, Karen Gillan, I'm gonna have to remember what the hell her character was. Let's see. Really sorry about this. I really should have checked, but oh well. Nebula, sorry. Karen Gillan as Nebula, that was interesting. Especially her attempting to do an American, like, I couldn't tell whether she was going for like a semi-American / English accent, or like if her Scottish accent was just barely coming through in her American accent, because her like generic American accent just wasn't sticking completely in like certain bits. Honestly, I would have just had it go full Scottish, fuck it. But, that's me. I'm not a filmmaker, or working for Marvel or Disney. But yeah, like it was just great to see someone that I'd seen on TV stuff, and hell, freaking Chris Pratt, sorry, also from TV, and now they're friggin' movie stars now. So it's like, yay! I mean, technically she'd been in movies before anyway, but you know what I mean. Now she's in a fucking blockbuster, so it's like, yeah. I don't think I've honestly really got all that much else to talk about. Thanos, the Thanos inclusion was nice. Besides, now it also gives kind of a reason if, and that's if, the Guardians of the Galaxy are in the third Avengers movie, which I kind of hope they are now. Just going by this movie alone, I hope they are. It was a bit of a James Bond moment the first time I saw this movie, and it came up with the Guardians of the Galaxy will return. Because, like I was half expecting the James Bond theme to kick in, because that's pretty much how the credits. I think it was like right at the end of the credits that kind of thing happens where they'll be like James Bond will return or James Bond will return in insert movie title. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of funny. Really, I honestly hope they bring back the character of oh god, what was his name? What was that damn son of a bitch's name? The sad thing is I can't even remember the actor's name, so oh well. What the hell? Really sorry about this. I should have been more prepared coming into it, but oh well. Um, that's it. John C. Reilly as Roman Day or Roman Day or like I forget, fuck Lee Pace. Lee Pace was Ronan. Oh my fucking god. Suddenly that just makes that whole role make sense. But talk about heavy makeup. I couldn't tell that was him. In retrospect, now the voice makes sense. But holy shit, I honestly did not know that. I guess I just didn't pay attention to the credits the first time I watched them. Or I maybe forgot who he was. But yeah, like Roman Day, like if they bring that character back and they killed him off in the second movie, I might actually cry. I'm not kidding. Um, like I seriously really liked that character. Like he was a very minor character, but he was very well done. Props to John C. Reilly for doing that character that well. And even like the little bit at the end where he's just like, it's believable that they would help them. A, because they kind of had to at the end because sort of, well, who do I hate more sort of thing. And generally the character never really was all that sort of, oh, I hate you or anything. So it was believable that he would believe um, Star Lord, Quill, what do you want to call him, at all, and then um, and just generally that little bit at the end where he says, "I have a family. If it weren't for you, they'd be essentially. If they weren't for you, they'd be dead." And you even see them, we see them getting saved, and then we do see them come back later, and it's revealed that yes, that was the family he was talking about, a wife and daughter. And I think the first time, I'm not sure if it hit me the second time, but it kind of hit me in the feels the first time where it's like I really feel happy for that character. So if he died, it'd probably be like Phil Coulson dying in the Avengers. That shit hit me. I legitimately cried in it. Like I'm gonna admit it, I legitimately cried when I first saw the Avengers, which I watched on my I'm pretty sure it was on my computer, not on a laptop or something. But when I first watched the Avengers, I seriously cried when Phil Coulson died. So of course, this was after the announcement of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they brought him back to life, or he was just never dead, or whatever. But that shit got me. But anyway, the Collector was great. It was nice seeing more of him after that tease in the Thor: The Dark World credits. Glenn Close as Nova Prime. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce the actual name of the character, but the title is Nova Prime, so you'll know what I mean. That was actually interesting too, especially hearing her call someone prick. So I don't know why. It's like the small things. No, I'm not gonna do that. But really, that's about all I can think of. But yeah, this was a really good movie, and it was worth seeing twice. The first time I saw it, I paid for 3 people to get in. Myself, my dad, and a friend of my dad's. And that was the first time my dad's friend had been to the movies in as long as he can remember. In like probably 20 years or a dec or just 10 or something like that. It had been forever since he'd been to the movies, and he enjoyed it. And my dad really enjoyed it. I basically dragged them along to see it to the point that I paid for them to get in, and my dad paid me back the amount that it ended up costing, which was nice. Just so we could go. We just didn't get any food because it would have cost way too fucking much then. But yeah, that was really fun. Then I saw it myself this time in a slightly smaller theater or cinema or whatever you want to call it. Like it was the same one, but it was a different room, so it was smaller. And it still hit me. I only really saw it about a week and a bit ago, like, so yeah, like 7, 8 days ago, if you want to be really specific. And if you haven't seen it yet, even though I've kind of spoiled stuff for you, which hell, half the internet's probably done that by now. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. If you've already seen it and you haven't seen it a second time yet, honestly, if you've got the money to, see it again. This was honestly, it was totally worth it. Would I see it a third time? Hell no. I'm not made of money, people. I gave them my money twice. But yeah, it was totally worth it. One of, honestly, out of the movies I have seen in the cinema this year, which is about 10, 11, 12 maybe now, I think. Probably more or less. This would be right up there. Like, The Winter Soldier? This, honestly, you know what? Out of the 3 that I've seen this year, I would I saw Thor: The Dark World, I saw Captain America. I'm pretty sure Thor: The Dark World came out this year, right? Pretty sure it did. Captain America 2 and this, I would actually say, and I fucking loved Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. But you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that yes, this was the best Marvel movie this year. Whether it's overall or not, again, I'd have to rewatch every single Marvel movie to actually make that distinction, but it would rank up there. So yeah, God. Really, if you have, one last time, just to really have it sink in there. If you haven't seen it, and you've been thinking of seeing it, for the love of God, go see it. The fights, the fucking ship battles and shit right near the end. The next Star Wars movie has a fucking lot to live up to. I'm saying, and I mean that, and that is saying a lot. Fucking Star Wars Episode 7, you have a lot to live up to. Especially going by this movie. If your, aerial fights aren't as good as the shit in this movie, then there's half my expectations gone. So, yeah, you've got work to do. So, since I've been rambling on for the last 10 minutes or so, and I really should be getting to bed, I am going to leave it there. I'm not sure what I will be talking about next week, but hopefully I can actually get a video out next week. This is my second video this week, and that's good. But I probably won't be doing another video this week unless I can really think of something that I really want to talk about. And I can't really think of anything. If you've got suggestions, like throw them my way. But since I've already done the Ring of Fire this, oh wait, no, I haven't done the Ring of Fire this week. So hey, if I do another thing this week, that'll be it. Otherwise, hey, that was the first time I coughed, I think. Yeah, but yeah. Otherwise, I am Thomas Fireheart, and I will see you next time. Hopefully that will be soon, but who knows.